Pobadimu, the advocate of Idlozi, and once again I welcome you to my channel and thank you so much for choosing to view my video. Welcome to channel Takeover video 2 of 5, and today's topic was supplied by Umandlake Ngumalo and Tabiseng Tabi, who had a similar topic. So I decided to just mesh the two because it's speaking about spiritually gifted kids or children, or rather raising a spiritually gifted child. So I think it was an interesting topic because mostly of our inking especially in our spiritual journeys, always stem from our upbringing, and sometimes our parents, or rather their parents, inflict their fears on us, and we end up being more confused than we ever have because of the spiritual journey. So I hope on this video I will calm your fears down as a parent, and you will not look at the world as being a dirty place for umtanako. But if you are raising a gifted child, I'd say you're a chosen parent yourself, because you are raising power, you are raising the legacy, and you are raising inheritance. So it's important to understand the dynamics that come with raising a gifted child, which is not the easiest, but we can try and maneuver around those within these few minutes of this video, and hopefully by the end of this video you will have the closure and understanding that you need in moving forward. So, class is in session. Let's begin. So with everything that has been said, with the spiritual gift and everything else, remember, you are born with this gift. It's not like when you're 40, someone miraculously tells you that you have a spiritual gift and now you start feeling it, or you have to start imagining it. You are born with a spiritual gift. That is why uyazalwa nesipho. Then at a certain age, when your lozis, or rather your spiritual guide, feel that you are enough, or rather ready for the spiritual journey, then usuga uqala umsebenzi wedlozi. So I'd honestly say, if you are raising a spiritually gifted child, or there's a child you know of, I'd suggest you bring them along to watch this video so that they can learn more and understand better themselves moving forward with their spiritual gifts, and not look at themselves as though there's something wrong with them. So from the early days, umntwana onesipho uyabonakala ngendlela abangayo, because we always say ukuthi umntwana is born with a third eye open, and then makufika of a certain age the third eye closes. Then that's why ukuthi umntwana, when they're still young, they see things in the house, they feel things in the house, and then that thing happens until a certain stage, and then figure a certain age where they no longer see those things. Then they start, etc. Then now guti, they have crossed over fully to the world, because even with speech, sometimes when they are gifted, they tend to delay, and some there tends to be some delay in the progresses or other milestones that kids achieve, because they still caught in the spiritual realm. So izinto zabo tend to take a bit of a time to a certain stage that they catch on at a later stage. So when umntana reach that age of the third eye closing, your child's third eye doesn't close. It keeps on being open until they start to receive their calling. So life walking around with your third eye open is very hard, because your senses are inclined and everything is inclined. So umntanako might be going through an identity crisis, not understanding what is going on with them, because in Lini they'll be playing and thinking, I'm playing with my imaginary dolls or toys, or I have friends that I'm speaking with, and they be in reality speaking to a spirit or whatever it is. Sometimes it is very easy for even a child to converse, or rather connect with an entity of the darkness, because they do not know how to separate, especially if you buy a house or move into a new place whereby gunespo or something like that. Umntwana is able to pick up on them, and sometimes we have our friendly ghosts that love abantwana that end up befriending the kids, and you hear umntwana saying, no, I want to be in the bedroom alone, and they know that they're speaking to their imaginary friend. So I myself was that type of a child. I used to love playing a lot alone in the house. I had lots of dolls, and I would like like your spices, your hair conditioners, everything, and put them usefully by the dresser and pretend I'm the one leading a choir, or rather teaching whatever I'm teaching. So the signs are there, especially especially nezinta azithandayo, because they are withdrawn. Because sometimes even from the upbringing, or rather inzalo yomntana, umntana, in some cases when they're born, you can tell by their skin, you know, ngendlela abangayo. I don't know how to put it. You see it, you know it when you see it, because they tend to because umntana makasesemncane, they tend to resemble more of abantu abangasekho in the family, or rather you do not necessarily see ukuthi umntana ufana nobani. But those kids, there's that different, distinct thing about them that you can see ukuthi hayi lo nobuso babantu abadala, but you never say that. But with time they start to change and look cute and everything. But you know deep down that this one, you know, it's the one of the ancestors, you know. So I wouldn't necessarily know how I looked, but I with a spiritual inclination know how to identify abantwana abanjalo, but it's wrong to say, but it is like that. So even with the things umntanakho azithandayo, you get to see ukuthi, especially when they reach a certain age of adolescence, the teenage years, that's what I say, that's when the break or make it, because abantwana abanjalo, that's when they go into an identification process. Abanye, they tend to become withdrawn from life, they tend to always, you know, sink into these mental breakdowns, not understanding what is going on. They will try to attempt suicide because of lack of balance, you know, when it comes to the chakras and everything else. It's a lot of things to comprehend as a person, and they never find their place in society, because as a gifted person you always stand out like a sore thumb. And they even go to transitions of especially if they're female, they'll go to transitions of, you know, these tomboyish phase. I couldn't fit in, so I also went through that phase of being a tomboy and thinking, what is wrong with me? But you know, I was that type of a person. And sometimes even with the type of clothing they like to wear, if they're not wearing dark clothing, their things are always abstract. They're not your girly, your dolly type of things, or your boy, you know. They will just like their things plain and straight to the point, or have particular preferences when it comes to even music. And even the conversations, you can pick up when you're having a conversation, Lana, I'm speaking to an old soul, because they bring a certain level of wisdom that is so untampered with, and that is so deep, you know, and it's so sensitive. And you can just tell, you know, because umntana gifted, you'll be going through a worst day of your life, and they just appear out of nowhere and they say, Mama, and ukhulume nogogo, and you do that. But you come back and like, you and where do you get what you say? So there's a lot of things to identify, but sometimes if you as a parent become difficult in understanding what you are raising a gifted child, it becomes difficult for yourself, because you end up even a clash of understanding. Because remember, lo mntwana uyidlozi. And if maybe uzomphatha kabi noma, you know, nibe abusive towards umntwana, amadlozi tends to put you under house arrest, or rather frustrate your lives, because there is disrespect that is going on to loyo mntwana loyo, because loyo mntwana loyo uyidlozi ngokwakhe. So if you there are certain elements to, I'm not saying children should misbehave, it's okay, we shouldn't, you know, reprimand or whatever, but there's a certain level that we do not cross, because amadlozi ayokwata, even nokuthela komntwana, you get to identify lezo zinto lezo. And sometimes it's always a matter of a clash of the titans. Sometimes I personally say, get to know your child better, so that you avoid having this, you know, clash of whatever it is, because you never really know umntanakho until the first time you see them, and you get to understand that, oh, uelona, and you never really prepared. So the reason a lot of us in this day and age, sibadala, sikhulile, singaga, we are conflicted in terms of our journeys, is because abogogo bethu never really got to experience the fullness of their journeys, because the fears that were inflicted in taking upon a spiritual gift, and they would rather be forced and said hamba esontweni or whatever. So even our parents grow up with that thing, thinking no, we're not going to entertain these into zamadlozi or whatever the case might be, and end up making you, you know, feel as though you following a route of a spiritual journey, you are lost, you are walking the wrong route, where else they are avoiding the truth, because now themselves do not have an understanding of what is actually going on. Uma umuntu atune gift noma umntwana anobizo, or whatever the case might be. Because I mean, I could stretch it out, you know, even with the preferences of food. Abantwana that are gifted, they avoid lots of food. So honestly, they're not meaty, you know, they're not meat kids. and they're not your kids. Like, you know, kids like sweet things, they like, but when you're raising a gifted child, you know, they're different. But it gets to a point now when you discover ukuthi umntwana is gifted. What is the first thing we do? The mistake we often make as parents is run to traditional healers and then bahambe bayothusa abantwana. Because I know myself, I've been there, you know, because the fears that are inflicted, because I think Nati as abantu abalaphayo, we need to be educated to a certain level to understand how to work around a teenager, or rather someone that is still young and trying to understand their gift. You know, you cannot just out of the blue say it's a lot to take in. Already I am traumatized, already I'm going through a lot, because at that age they feel as though they know everything. So you taking me to the rivers, I'm going to this ndumbas, I'm everything else. And now abazali, what we do, we often make the mistake of making our children's journeys our own. We end up making decisions for them. I was pushed into churches that I didn't like. I'm an apostle. I remember going there, wearing that robe. I would not understand, but like I would go there for an hour, I wouldn't even hear umfunis gutitini. My dad's church, I bring sometimes at IPC, I would not even hear a word that he say. Like I would go there, but I would go there for the money, so they didn't think I'm a keke, because I'm a keke have always been my favorite. Like food is all it is. So every time when I think of instances when I was pushed into a church or whatever the case might be, it was always because I needed to go there. I didn't have a choice, you understand that? And it was not a great sight. Let us be better parents to give our children the freedom of saying, Mama, I don't want to go to church, because we grow up in homes whereby going to church is being shoved down our faces. I'm not, you know, I'm not a churchy person, because I feel I go there and I feel nothing. Like I feel numb. You know, the lastest resort that we went to was because there isn't any door that I don't want to name, like there isn't any door. So they said when it was just postoli, we touched on parts of, oh gosh, it was just, everything is just a mess. I don't remember a church speaking to me, you understand that? And then the last resort was ubuzalwane, and nakwana I was there, but trying to fit myself in, you know. At least lapo I had things to do, because I was leading the worship and praise team. I was a prayer warrior, but I was doing the work, you know. So but I've never really got that fulfillment that I have right now. So I'm not a churchy person, because there's nothing that is being said in the pulpit that fulfills my spirit. Even when I go to a funeral, I just go there for the food. But I don't really get to, like, I'm not interested, but you know, when it comes to that, because I always say those words are not spoken from a space of spiritual growth or understanding, you know, and it is what it is. So don't like force inkolo zakho down your child's throat. We are living in a new age whereby children are now on social media, they're exposed to a lot of things. So allow your child to make decisions for themselves. But at the 16 years, 17 years, it's a very traumatic thing. That is why I would honestly say the earlier you realize umntanakho is gifted, and niyaphahla, you know, and then niyasho emadlozini ukuthi no, siyabona gogo khona, or whoever you are, and we acknowledge you. But at this current stage, can umntwana, you know, carry on ngempilo or whatever the case might be? Because the problem is that we think we can do the same thing in our 30 years, in our 20 years of age. Ganti ayisekho lapho. Once ubiziwe gogo, asekho isikhathi ukuthi siyashweleza senzani. People must stop selling that shit, because it doesn't exist. A calling is a calling. Akunakuthi you being called and then you put the glosies on silent. A calling is a calling. Usesemncane, yes, you can whatever, but you have to understand ukuthi umntwana is going to go through a lot of spiritual awakening. He's going to go through a lot of spiritual growth. And izinto azozibona are not going to be things of this physical. What they feel are not going to be things of this physical. Because the reason why sicele emadlozini is because the systems of these world, like school and all of these other things, are sometimes contradictory to the spiritual realm. Because like I say, we are people put in systems so that they can dictate singalash, you understand? But if we are free for all, we don't have anything leading us or guiding us. Because how amadlozi dictate ukuthi the reason why umntana phazamiseka in their schooling, amadlozi, their argument is simple. You will go to school and bese uyahamba uyosebenza umlungu. Why are you supposed to do that when you have all the inheritance you need? So double a textbook, Sarah, you know. And also in the school, they lack focus, they lack, you know, all these things, you know. I remember I still do, but in school it was worse. I had bad eyesight. Literally, the teacher would be teaching there and I would see her vanishing into the chalkboard and I would look and blink and she would be back again. And until I went to get my first pair of glasses, I got another one, I lost them. And then that's when in varsity I lost my sight, you know. I would take things lightly. You understand? You take things lightly. So it's important that every year umntwana, if niyazi you're raising a gifted child, every year my name's umsebenzi, or rather on the birthday of the child. I honestly say the birthdays are important rather than, you know, doing all these fancy things. Raising a spiritual child, you can do them, you know, maybe on the Friday before, then Saturday go be a celebration maybe of the balloons and the jumping castles or whatever. But it is imperative that every year umntana simhlabeli inkukhu senzani. Let us not drag our kids, you know. It's important that we teach our kids our spiritual ways, but let us not force it down their throats. It's a good thing to teach umntana ko uphahla, but don't force it down their throats. They will do that willingly, spiritually willingly. You don't have to force someone. Whereby umntwana in their 16 years, 17 of age, they're supposed to be playing outside, getting heartbroken, you know, writing music books and all these other things. Gantumtwana is busy being stressed by umsamu or every day. Let us allow kids to be kids, because we often get our childhood robbed from us because of the spiritual gift we have. I had to mature very early, you know, because of decisions that I had to make, and there was no fitting in. But I felt, you know, comfort, and I found comfort in wrong decisions that I made. And at that hand, I lost my childhood. There's a part of my childhood that I lost, you know. So coming back to the situation that you allow your child to experience their journey for themselves. Don't dictate ukuthi you must do this, and don't let nezangoma zenu nizihamba or inyanga zenu dictate to umntanakho ukuthi there is a deadline or anything. You let umntana bomntana. Idlozi aliko brutal, guys, but if kune communication and bakuphile lo mntana loyo and they trusted you with raising that child, it means you are capable of ukulethela umntana kimpepo and understanding that I am a parent of a spiritually gifted child. You shouldn't be ashamed of that. You should be actually proud, because there's nothing painful and when you don't know anything about that. You know, abantwana these days go to consult. It's just that I don't consult, you know, teens and all of that. I normally, you know, ask for consent when it comes to lezo into lezo, because I know sometimes they go to consult and they are being told things by their friends, because nabantwana in the high schools they end up babula abanye abantwana, which is wrong, and umntwana ends up coming home being frustrated ukuthi when a mama no baba nyangibambezela umntwana. If there's a certain urge that they feel, mama, as I feel like ukuthi ngaenda wena so, or mama ngiphupe something like this. I mean, you are raising a healer. You are raising a gifted child. You get to understand and work with them. Do not work against them. Because whatever solutions you need, because at the end of the day, and uma eseqale gula, you as a parent, umuntu ozoqala jambe, umuntu ozoqala afeel pain ukuthi lo owami umntwana, and they're going through the most because of izinto zasekhaya. There's nothing as painful as that. Akekho umntwana ozicelelayo. So the day as parents we stop looking at umntwana onedlozi noma othwele idlozi as a curse. We will be better parents. Kunabantwana that are stuck in prisons, kunabantwana that are stuck kunyawupe, kunabantwana that have bazinikele empilweni kuthiwa no lo sekaphenduka isifebe noma uyagroova kakhulu, not understanding ukuthi umntana uhluphekile ngakomoya, but ekhaya kuna support system. Even though the whole family might turn on your child, let you not be part of that. Stand with your child through thick and thin, because at the end of the day, I honestly say through everything, my mom and my brother have always been a great supportive structure for me throughout my gift. They've never made me feel like I'm less of a person, and I've never thanked them enough for that. I think I should do something for them and just say I've never told them that I appreciate, because I've never felt judged by them. I've always felt appreciated. The world would judge me, everything around me would judge me. I mean, I was even in a Christian school at some point, you know, and let us not inflict our fears, because the minute you hear you're thinking to yourself, and all these other things, and we forget the beauty that is behind uguti. Damn, I've been blessed. And if you are a father, and you are a father to a gifted child, and maybe you're not married with the mother, don't impose your izinto zakho kuloyo mntwana, because now remember there's always a play over maternal and paternal ancestors. And if umntwana uhlushwa idlozi lakhabo mama, which is the case in most instances, then you show up from nowhere, hey ngifuna ukuhlawula, yeah I want to do this, because once that happens, because now the child has been won over to the other surname, but that is why a lot of people are contradicted spiritually, because you go consult Numalo, but you know your maternal surname is Kumalo, and they end up saying, you know, it's both your maternal and your paternal, and it's not the case. You know, I think it's discussions that we need to sit down, Nati, as adults, when we meet up with these people we're having babies with. It's important to sit down with them and be like, I come from a background whereby gwagune nyanga noma gwagune sangoma. Na umuntu open up about that, so that if anything, either thing happens and there's a conceival, you know that that is the approval from Milosi, that Lomtana had to be born of this bloodline. Uguze abe khona, because gusizakala on both ends. I have a maternal side, I have a paternal side. Yes, my mom and dad are one in the same thing, but the dynamics change. I know mangibiza amadlozi akhabo mama, ngibiza bogabadia, you know, abongobion, izinja zempilo, you know, I know mangikhulumile ngithi bogogo by tomorrow I need 1 2 3. I wake up and that things are there, you know. But when I call on the dad side, I can feel the love, but it's not like as we understand, like warm like my maternal side, because I am who I am because of them. So there is no battle, because the support system, even on my dad's side, the paternal side, is non-existent. Sometimes I feel my dad you know, tends to forget that sometimes I feel it always also embarrasses him. I don't know but it's also the lack of understanding and the upbringing and the families we've been brought up in that make us, you know, feel as though there's something wrong, because we tend up being ashamed and all of that. Imagine umntana kosomi say, I remember there's this magogo we used to watch, Irene, I'm so used to come out, who are you? You are a snake water marine woman, and you are from Kotwal or what not, that realm. But see, they are manifesting. That's painful. That is dead painful. Mina is hambi amasonto khona futhi ngayakule ethembisa elinye lethende basithengisela amanzi lapha basilwe bebe lo aka profits unoma siba ngafika lapho ngahlala phambili wangidlula nje what that's how. So that's when I think you need to walk at yourself, but you must know that umtanako will be a healer until they die, and you must be supportive towards them. Don't be cold. Man, I don't know, I feel like this channel takeover requires the part 2, because this topic, I feel I need to go more and expand on it. But I think, like I said, what is into that we didn't touch on, we're gonna get to talk about them once we are on the live. So thank you so much to the suppliers of today's topic. I know there's there's so many things that because Zini, you know, raising umntwana nesipho, it is a lot, and oh gosh, it is a lot. But we'll come back to this when we go live. But I hope it will give some directive. Uguti, we carry such children differently, you know. Boy, we protect them. And as you know, this series that used to play on, I don't know what's this channel, but it's the same channel that I used to watch Walking Dead on. I forgot. But you can check it out. Or maybe you could check it out on Netflix, whatever. What is it? The Gifted, those gifted kids, they always being and all. That's the same thing when you're raising a spiritually gifted child. Because the world is gonna come at them, baba kombe, baba pategabi, and is always gonna face rejection, because we grow up being the ugly duckling. At school, when I was the ugly, like I meet people I was going to school with and they don't even know it's me because I was the ugly. But anyway, teachers don't understand you. I remember I would be put in my principal's office every second day because I was being told I was wearing makeup. That time I'm not even wearing makeup, but I think it was that, you know, that English teacher of mine, hey, time I would like, yeah, but it was those things that you end up out, it's so be the support system for a child. Even as the world is not my family, but I can come back to a home whereby I'm accepted and I am who I am. And if I want to have my dreadlocks, if I want to wear my beads and I'm comfortable to do that because my parents will not make me feel less of a person. So I hope this was a very insightful video and we will look at things differently. But thank you so much for coming through and viewing another channel takeover. I will be back again with a third video and a fourth and absolutely a fifth, and actually closing down our channel takeover. We're still on a road to 17,000 subscribers. Did you hear that? Did you hear that? So we are moving up. Let's keep up with the numbers. Do subscribe if you still haven't. Do like and leave your comments below. And thank you so much for watching. I am Pabadimu, the advocate of Ilozi. Yeah, I am the advocate of Ilozi. You know, I am. Yeah, the ancestors must be proud. I am the advocate of Ilozi, and once again, this was another Oh My Ilozi video. I'm on Instagram at Mpobadimu. Thank you so much.